Hey folks, Alan Saunders. I am live in an undisclosed location in central Pennsylvania. It is not quite peak leaf foliage here, but it's starting. It's been a beautiful ride. I'm actually near Lock Haven on my way to Boston for Pitt Boston College, which is my coverage tomorrow, and doing the Friday football show, taking it on the road. And so, thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and thanks for participating. Since change the format up here, so it's all me and you, and we'll hopefully take some questions. So, if you get a question and you're watching on the YouTube platform, pop into the chat box, and hopefully I'll get to it. If you got a question on Twitter, hit me up on Twitter. And if you're a Pittsburgh Sports Now diehard, the link to the Zoom meeting that I'm in right now is in the forum. So you go click on that, ask to join, I'll let you in, and you can actually be on the video with me talking football. And we're talking about the Steelers and the Eagles, the Panthers and the Eagles, the Eagles, and why Philadelphia sucks. So far, that's what I've got. That's what's on the docket. So I did get some questions already on Twitter. We will get to those first, and then whatever we get coming up from the YouTube chat, or if we get a diehard to join us on Zoom, which I really hope we do eventually. If not today, we can do that. First, I guess we'll start here. This is not the first question I got, but Chris Mueller, who at by Chris Mueller, give him a follow. He is one of our reporters at Pittsburgh Sports Now, and don't hold it against him that the dear Chris is from Philadelphia. And Chris says, other than the Flyers rivalry, why do Pittsburgh sports fans and Pittsburghers in general hate Philadelphia? Inferiority complex question mark. Well, I mean, yeah, the hockey rivalry is one thing. And let's be honest, nobody likes the Flyers, right? I mean, they got good by being jerks. They've earned that hatred several times over from around the league, and not just in Pittsburgh. The Penguins just happen to play them more often than anybody else. And so I think that's the reason for that. Why don't Pittsburghers like Philadelphia? I'm not sure that there is some sort of like large scale dislike. I think Philly's got a lot of stuff I like. I like cheesesteaks. The roast pork sandwich is an underrated piece of Philadelphia culinary accomplishment that is not celebrated enough. Crab fries are solid. Pretzels are fine. Look, it's got good colleges. State Street's fun. I have nothing against the physical city of Philadelphia. The dislike that Pittsburghers have about Philadelphia is not the city. It's the people from Philadelphia, Chris. We don't like you. That is the source of the conflict, and it is just that whole. And listen, and it's the same concept as the hockey teams. We don't like any of the people from the Northeast megalopolis that like to remind us about how great everything they are and has. It's just that we have to share a state with you, and so you come up more frequently. But I don't think Pittsburghers are particularly fond of people from Boston or New York either. It's just that we got to live with you, and you're in our politics and in all our sports teams and in our life. Get out of it. We don't like you. State of Western Pennsylvania, we should secede. It is, of course, not a football rivalry, as the Steelers are getting ready to play the Eagles, except in college towns. I've always found that as to be one of the most interesting things about the Steelers and the Eagles. Never once in my entire life growing up a Steelers fan did I care one bit about the Eagles. I actually really liked Randall Cunningham when I was growing up. He was one of my favorite players to watch because I thought he was so exciting. And Reggie White was another guy that, of course, I think if you like defense, and as most people in this city do, I had a strong appreciation for. I had no problem with the Flyers, with the Eagles. But then, like, I got to college at IUP, and there were all these Philly kids. And I went to Gettysburg College first, and so of course there was a lot of Philly kids there. But in college towns, and I've seen this at Penn State many times. My sister went to Penn State. that's that's the only place where there is a Steelers-Eagles football rivalry is in college towns, because that's the only place where you get all the Pittsburgh kids and all the Philadelphia kids together. And so that is the one and only place where there is a Steelers-Eagles rivalry. And that, and the funny part is, of course, if you go to college for 4 years, some of us went a little longer. If you go to college for 4 years, you see it happen once in your 4 years there. But I always thought that was really interesting that in a college town is where you can see the Steelers and Eagles be rivals. This week, the Eagles are bigger rivals with their own training room as they are missing most of the players you have heard of from that team. Not playing will be Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey. They're missing some offensive linemen. Carson Wentz is coming to Pittsburgh. I'm not sure if he'll be leaving the Eagles starting quarterback if things continue to go poorly and or if he survived the game. Steelers opponents are 1 for 3 in that regard so far as they knocked Drew Lock out of the Broncos game. And Jalen Hurts, which was an interesting draft pick in April, has become, I don't know, a guy that could possibly be a potential replacement as Wentz has struggled so far this year. The other Eagles, Boston College, the game I'm covering this Saturday, and as a programming note, I will have Pitt on Saturday, and then Mike Osti and Ed Thompson will be at Heinz Field for the other Eagles game on Sunday for Steelers Now, PittsburghSteelersNow.com. And so, yeah, that another interesting quarterback angle, of course, Boston College has former Pine Richland quarterback Phil Dracovic. Pitt coming off a devastating loss to NC State. Really a must-win game for the Panthers on the road. Not a place that they've necessarily done a ton of good under Pat Narduzzi. But I like their chances in this one. I think Dracovic is another quarterback that is mobile enough, just like we saw last week against NC State. But I don't know. There's something about this Pitt team that feels a little bit different to me. It is a very veteran team. They have a number of seniors. Talked to Rashad Weaver this week. Does not look like a guy that is going to let this team have another bad week. And so I'm optimistic about Pitt's chances in Boston. Let's go to, we got some more Twitter questions here. Ben Bobek. Ben is a reporter for the Pitt News. Ben says top 5 Eagles songs. Somebody else asked me about the Eagles since it's Eagles week on the Friday Football Show. Brian wants to know what's my favorite Eagles song. I don't like the Eagles. Those Eagles. They're not my favorite. They're not my cup of tea. But I do have a favorite Eagles song, and that is Seven Bridges Road. I've always liked that one. I don't really have a reason for liking it and not being an Eagles fan in general, but they've not been a group that I particularly care for. I'm not really in my wheelhouse as far as my musical preferences in general, but I don't know, just something about a lot of those songs I don't really care for. And I also heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard apocryphally that they're like unpleasant folks at this stage in their career. I don't know how true that is. I'm not a music reporter. I'm just spreading unfounded rumors. But yeah, not an Eagles fan. But actual Eagles. Now let's cut to the chase here. They're awesome. When we are in the part of Pennsylvania where I can see some potentially, but I do not. I'm here near Lock Haven, and there's of course the West Branch of the Susquehanna River right that way, about a mile or so. I'm sure there are eagles in this neck of the woods, but I don't see any right now. But they're huge and they are awesome. I go fishing on Pymatuming Lake in northeastern Pennsylvania, and there are several eagles' nests there, and it is just epically awesome to see them come flying by. They're like the size of a pickup truck. Amazing creatures. And yeah, we can talk more about birds if that's what you got instead of football. Listen, this is your show. We do whatever you want. We do have some YouTube comments. I did see them. Now I have to find them back again. Daryl Grant says, go Penn State. I went past Penn State to get to where I am. And of course, we do have the newest member of our Pittsburgh Sports Now family, Nittany Sports Now, which is being run by former Altoona Mirror columnist Corey Geiger. So if you are of the blue and white persuasion, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but thanks for joining us, Daryl. And yeah, check it out, Nittany Sports Now. Corey Geiger, good dude, very good journalist, and we're very, very excited to have him as part of our continually growing family, which is something that I'm pretty proud of here as we found a way to grow mid-pandemic. No Zoomers, unfortunately, but yeah, we can carry on. I do need some more questions though. We need more. We need more from the audience. I'm gonna need you to step up your game. And I just want to thank you all for, of course, the subscribers on the YouTube channel as well. That's a big deal for us here at Pittsburgh Sports Live, and that number has continually been growing as we've gotten back to the point where we can actually go places and shoot videos again, at least in some places, or it's Zoom videos. But I continually am impressed by the number and quality of what we have to offer here on the channel. So thanks for that. I also want to take a brief moment to send some well wishes to our dear friend Harry Paceros. Harry is our recruiting insider at Pittsburgh Sports Now, and he has been battling a COVID infection. And I'm wishing Harry all the best and hope that he is back to full health soon. It's not fun. And I know listen, if Harry's in the best shape of any man his age I've ever seen. And so the fact that it put him down, pretty scary. And so, Harry, we're all thinking about you and hope you're back to health soon. What else we got? Do we have more questions? I am not covering a high school game this week. There will be more coverage coming. And Daryl says, go Nittany Lions again. We've got a very solid Penn State hate watch group coming. We need more from the Pitt fans here as we move forward. But yeah, more about this Pitt Boston College game. Really interesting. The rules. You can't. There are no fans in the stands here. I have to quarantine myself while I'm in Massachusetts because Pennsylvania's rate of tests has been so high that they don't just let people from Pennsylvania in. So when I get to where I'm going, I'll have to largely stay in my hotel room, which is pretty much all I ever do on a road trip anyway, except for finding new and interesting unhealthy food to eat. So maybe we'll have to try to order some takeout or something like that. So if you have a Boston food recommendation, I'm staying right by the Boston College campus there in Chestnut Hill. If you have a food recommendation for Boston that you can send my way that I can order takeout, since I can't go, and I don't even know if they're open up there. But yeah, send me the food recs, hit me up with a comment, or find me on Twitter at @Saunders_PGH. Do we have a Steelers injury report? Look, we can break news on here. Cale Berger, who is our producer for Steelers Now, has the Steelers injury report. And TJ Watt, I know, was on it Thursday. From everything I saw, he is expected to play. Derek Watt and Marcus Allen are out. Not unexpected there. The injury news that matters is the fact that the Eagles are coming without their entire wide receiver core, which seems scary to me, given what this Steelers defense has done. And actually, if you want more on the Steelers Eagles matchup, Nick Farabaugh did a really good film study today at Steelers Now on the success the Texans had and kind of picking apart the Steelers defense in the first half last week. And so you should check that out. It's good stuff on how repeatable that is and where there may be some danger for the Steelers going forward in that secondary if if the Texans expose some things. Some other stuff we had on the site recently, I wrote about Matt Canada's influence on the running game. It's really been impressive to me about how he's been able to take those things that we saw work in college and make them work in the pros. And I broke down some film from Pitt and in his past and from the Steelers this year as well on the site. Last thing I want to touch on that I want to bring up in this Pitt Boston College game, we talked about Dracovic being a mobile quarterback. I think mobility is overrated when it comes to this Pitt defense. I think what we've seen is if they can get you moving out of the pocket and get your eyes lowered down, if he's looking at the rush, I think Pitt's already won. I think the thing that we saw in that NC State game that is the most troubling to me was the inability to deal with those right now fades. This guy runs 10 yards downfield, pushes off and catches that back shoulder fade. I think that's something that a lot of college teams can do if you have a good enough quarterback. I think Dracovic is that good enough quarterback. I'm not sure Boston College has the big physical receivers to make that game plan work like NC State did, but I'm interested to see how much, even if they don't think they can execute it, teams just go to the Flacco play, right, and just chuck it up there and hope for pass interference. Given the fact that Pitt took 3 pretty critical ones last week, I'd be trying it if I was an offensive coordinator on the other side of them. I talked to Pat Narduzzi about that, and if you cycle back to the channel here, his video was on Thursday afternoon. It's in there. Towards the end, I asked him about that, and I thought he gave a pretty good answer. He said, look, the teams are going to come after us. They know how to get those corners isolated. It is no secret what defense Pitt is in 90% of the time. They're going to play quarter zone. That means that those cornerbacks are responsible for those outside receivers. As long as they stay on the outside, that's it. It's cornerbacks on receivers. There's no help coming over the top. That's all there is. Now, if those receivers come into the middle of the formation, there's help. But on those fade routes, it's one-on-one. There's no one else that's ever going to come. And so it's not any secret that that's what they play. They don't play anything else. They'll go into some cover 2 every once in a while, but it's pretty rare. And so I think that's, it's out there. It's known. And so I'm interested to see how many times teams, maybe even if that's not their game, just try to take a couple of those shots, get 15 free yards in the first down. They've got to limit the penalties. Too many mistakes. I wrote on the site earlier this week about how I feel like Pitt's offense is too conservative. They don't maximize their possessions. They don't maximize their points. I don't see that changing. I don't think they're going to suddenly become a different team than they are, than who they've been under Pat Narduzzi. But they can clean up those penalties, and they can do a little bit better in short yardage than they did last week, and they can do a little bit better in the red zone, which is sort of connected, sometimes not. And if they do those things, I think they'll beat Boston College pretty easily. I'm not super impressed with the Eagles team so far that had trouble with Texas State on the field that we'll be playing Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill. All right, what are we at here? We are 20 minutes or so. We'll wrap it up here. If we got any last second, I will take one more scroll through the live comments. Nope, just Daryl and his love of Penn State. Daryl, I thank you so much for watching, and get on Corey's show. He will have more. Hey, listen, when Penn State comes back, if y'all want to talk about Penn State on the Friday show, we can talk about Penn State on the Friday show. I don't have a problem with that. We can do that. Especially if we get more Daryl and less Pitt fans. Look out. Hey, this is your show. We'll talk about whatever you want. Birds and all. All right, that's it. Friday football show wrapping up from the road. On my way to Boston. And thanks for watching. Thanks for participating.